Welcome to the 2015 PBSO Annual Awards Ceremony, honoring the men and women of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office who serve and protect. Please take your seats and silence all mobile devices.
Good morning, everyone. Would you please rise for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem by Miss Emily Brooke.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
May we remain standing. Let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. God, we come before you this morning, conscious that it is in you we live and move and have our being. We're so grateful this morning for these law enforcement officers who every day place themselves at risk to protect the weak and the vulnerable from those who would do evil. God, we are grateful that you are a God of justice and mercy, and that you've given the authority to rule and to protect to governments and law enforcement. And we are so thankful that these individuals take seriously their responsibility to protect and serve. God, I ask that you give them wisdom, discernment, and protection. It is right for us to honor those to whom honor is due, and we are conscious that while these have served with the highest distinction and valor, we in no way diminish the selfless service of all the rest of our personnel who faithfully protect the public every day. God, bless them for their work, keep them safe, give them patience and grace. Bless those who today will be recognized, and then, God, encourage all of those whose recognition will come later. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Again, good morning and welcome to the 2015 PBSO Annual Award Ceremony. It gives me great pleasure to announce our Palm Beach County Sheriff, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw.
Thank you. I mean, I kind of heard a little limp good morning a couple of minutes ago, so let's try it again. Good morning. Good morning. There you go. Now I know you're engaged with us here. There's a few people I want to recognize that are very important to the agency, and then I got just a very short amount of remarks as we got a very ambitious program today. But there's some people here. Some of them are not here, but you need to know what they do for us. First of all, the mayor of the commission is Shelley Vanna. She's here. Mary Lou Berger is not, do I see her? Yep, she's here, Vice Mayor. Melissa McKinney is not here yet. She may show up. Priscilla Taylor, important member of the commission. Paulette Burdick. Steve Abrams and Hal Valashay had some prior commitments, but folks, these are the people that vote on our budget and give you the money that they need to give us to operate to do what you need to do every day. So thank them again for doing what the right thing to do is. Also with us is the county administrator, Verninia Baker. Thank you for being here, Verninia. And the deputy county administrator, John Van Arnhem. Thank you again for being here. Even though we're out here trying to get the bad guys every day and take them off the streets so our communities are safer, it's not going to work unless we have a partner that works with us that's going to make sure that they're prosecuted and stay in jail. We're fortunate to have with us today the State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg and his Chief Assistant Brian Fernandez. They are tenacious prosecutors, and I guarantee you they make sure that the bad guys will stay in there as long as they possibly can. You know, today we're going to see what we believe is the best of the best. A lot of people were submitted for awards, but unfortunately we can't give everybody that, so there's a few that we believe are the outstanding ones. But that doesn't mean that every day a lot of good things are not happening out here, and they go unnoticed. Fortunately, our media relations has started a program where they're trying to capture as many things as the deputies do out here every day, put them on our Facebook, website, Twitter Periscope and get it out there to people, and we've had a lot of success with that happening. But I just wanted to mention a couple things that have come to my attention. I talked to a lady on the phone the other day, and I thought she was calling in for a complaint, but we started talking, and she says, the reason I'm calling you is I want to tell you about a deputy. She said, I was broken down on Southern Boulevard, and I had been sitting there for like 5 minutes. My car wasn't working. I called a tow truck, and all of a sudden, this deputy pulls up behind me. He gets out of the car, says, you know, what's going on? I told him. He says, well, you know, it's pretty hot out here. He says, why don't you come back and sit in the air conditioning? Said he was off duty, but he's going to stick around till the tow truck got there. He did. Even after the tow truck got there, he says, look, you know, I don't want you to have to ride up there in this tow truck. I'm going to take you to where the tow truck's going to get your car fixed. You can ride with me. And she said he spent like 2 hours of his time. He was off duty on the way home. He wasn't getting paid for that. He could have called somebody else, had him come over there, do the same thing. But she says, I just needed to tell you what a nice young man he was. And by the way, I'm an African-American lady, and I'm getting a little tired of hearing about there's this bad relationship with law enforcement and a segment of our community. And I just wanted you to know that I felt so good about what he did. He didn't have to spend all that time, and he's not even getting paid for it. That's just one example that happens all the time. The other thing that was brought to my attention is a deputy got a call of a lady that was supposedly in distress at her house. He got there. It was an elderly lady. It was one of those 90-degree days out there. And the house was hot. She had a couple dogs and a cat in there. And she was very upset about what was going on. And he said to her, you know, your house is really hot. She says, you know what? I know that, but I don't have the money to get my air conditioning fixed. He paid for that. He called an air conditioner repairman and paid for it out of his own pocket to get her air conditioning fixed. He didn't have to do that. He didn't look for anybody to make it a news item. But that's what we're all about. You know, people just think it's going to calls for service or chasing people that have done bad things or putting people in jail that are trying to terrorize the community, and that's part of it. But the deputies do so many other things that are just human nature things. It's like with Thanksgiving coming up. We're gonna feed a bunch of families. We're going out to one area, and we're gonna feed the kids that won't have Thanksgiving dinner. And at Christmas time, we're gonna be giving out presents to kids that wouldn't have Christmas. Do you see that in the news media? No. Do you hear some politicians talking about that? No. They will pick out a single incident where something went bad, and that's what they're going to hone in on, like the rest of it didn't happen. It's like Chipotle restaurant has probably served 500 million meals, and a couple people got sick, so now all the restaurants are horrible places. And yeah, you know what? We make mistakes. We got a lot of chances to make mistakes. Just listen to this. We will, this year, answer about 1.2 million calls for service. 1.2. They all went through COMO. Everything went as good as could be with those 1.2 million calls for service. We arrested 21,500 people. Out of all of those calls for service and all of those arrests, any use of force by this agency was only 599 times. Now, I'm not talking about deadly use of force. I'm talking about anything. Whether we had to put our hands on somebody, whether they got tasered, whether they got sprayed, whatever it was. It's only 2.5% of the number of arrests. That's half the national average. And if you put it against the number of calls for service, it is 4 1,000% that happened. So you know why I get agitated when I hear some people say, well, you know what, there's it's a constant excessive use of force, or, you know, we're the same as other places. We're not the same as other places. The statistics will tell you that. And yes, is there mistakes made sometimes? Absolutely. But it's not the norm, it's the exception. And when we make a mistake, we say, okay, we understand that. Here's what we're going to do to correct it so it doesn't happen again. And can we do better at our connection with certain segments of the community, regardless of what it is across the board? We know that. Law enforcement's been working on that for 25 years. And we got to get better at it. Because the only way that we're going to continue to be the community that we are is if we talk to each other, we talk to the people in our communities, we have a procedural justice where people understand how things are going to be done, why they're going to be done, whether the outcome is exactly what everybody wants, maybe not. But at least they have an expectation that they can talk to us, explain to us, and they understand that we're going to be transparent in how we're doing things. And we're working on that. And that's what our training is emphasizing. So the message that I want to get across to you today, and by the way, over 3,700 times we went to mental health calls, 10 a day, where people have mental health issues without an incident. So our training in mental health that we're giving to people out there to be able to handle these mental health issues is paying off also. So I'm not going to accept this broad brush paint deal where people say, you know what, it's like the Northeast, it's like these large cities. No, it's not. And I'm not going to accept that. And you shouldn't either. So I want to tell you today, you know, you keep your head up. You keep doing the job that you're doing. Don't quit like you've seen some of these law enforcement agencies in other places that are getting beaten down to the point they've just given up, and that's why their murder rates are so high. They were just talking about that the other day with the Bureau of Justice, and the director of the FBI came forward. He says, yeah. He says, there's some places the cops just gave up. I know you haven't given up. I know you won't give up. So don't let the news and some politicians that just want to ride the wave beat you to the point where you give up. Our community expects you to keep doing what you're doing. I expect you to keep doing what you're doing. And for the pride of this agency and what you've built, you need to keep doing what you're doing. You're going to see a lot of good things here today. So thank you for being here, and keep up the good work. I appreciate it. Please, when the video starts and you're the recipient of this, start moving this way so we don't have to eat lunch about 3 o'clock this afternoon, all right? Okay, let's go, folks.
We begin our program with the Santa Lucia's Criminal Justice Academy Outstanding Leadership Award to Cadet Sergeant Jesse Darsansing. As a sergeant in the Criminal Justice Academy at Santa Lucia's Community High School for the past year, Jesse Darsansing has displayed exceptional leadership, perseverance, and dedication to the Academy. Darsansing has volunteered over 210 hours of service to his community, setting a positive example for his fellow cadets to follow. He continues to excel academically in the Academy with a grade of 97% and an overall GPA of 3.8. On October 20th, 2015, Darsansing became a PBSO volunteer and is currently providing his assistance to the Central Records Division. After graduation, he plans to attend Florida Atlantic University to study criminal justice with his ultimate goal of becoming a deputy sheriff with PBSO. Darsan Singh's stellar performance and steadfast professionalism reflect great credit upon himself, and as such, he is honored with the Santa Lucia's Criminal Justice Academy Outstanding Leadership Award. Congratulations. Our next award is the Samaritan Award. The Samaritan Award is bestowed upon a private individual not employed with the Sheriff's Office for an outstanding act, achievement, or exceptional service that exemplifies the ideals of law enforcement on behalf of his or her fellow man or community. Let's meet our recipients in this category. Jean Bastien. When Boca Raton resident Jean Bastien saw an elderly woman on the side of the road at night, he knew he had to help. He kept thinking about his own mother and how he would want someone to help her if she was in trouble. Bastien stopped his car and noticed the woman was in distress. The woman, Myrtle Reed, suffers from memory loss due to a stroke. She didn't know her address or phone number. Together, the two found some identification in her purse, and Mr. Bastien drove her home. When they arrived at her house in Boca Raton, Bastien noticed patrol cars in the driveway. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office had been looking for her for 4 hours. For safely returning the woman to her family, Jean Bastien is well deserving of the Good Samaritan Award. Congratulations. Mac Boone. Mac Boone says 19 years of driving a Palm Tran bus has given him a lot of experience in handling difficult people and tough times. That experience was the reason why he was so cool and calm during a dangerous situation in Pahokee back in February. A Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy tipped off Mr. Boone by cell phone that the 3 men who just got on the Palm Tran bus he was driving were armed and had just shot a man. PBSO patrol cars, K-9, the Eagle, and SWAT team then surrounded the bus for 3 hours. Boone communicated clearly and calmly with the PBSO and the 3 suspects. His help in this dangerous situation ensured all 5 passengers on his bus got off safely. He helped convince the 3 men to turn themselves in. Investigators on the scene say Boone's involvement helped to ensure there was not a hostage situation. No shots were fired and no one was hurt. For keeping a cool head in a crisis situation, we honor Mac Boone with the Good Samaritan Award. Congratulations. Robert Rourke and Reginald Charles. This past June, while driving his car, 94-year-old Jack Spivak mistakenly hit the gas pedal instead of the brake, plunging the vehicle into a lake in his Boca Raton community. Security officers Reginald Charles and Robert Rourke witnessed the mishap and knew they had to act fast. With water rushing into the car, both men jumped into the lake, finding Spivak motionless and in shock. With the water almost above Spivak's mouth, Rourke was able to open the car door and pull him out of the now submerged vehicle. He put Spivak on his back and swam to safety. When deputies and paramedics arrived, they treated the elderly man for only minor injuries. Their quick thinking, bravery, and teamwork no doubt saved Jack Spivak's life and merits Reginald Charles and Robert Rourke the Good Samaritan Award. Congratulations. Terry Fennell and Brad McLaren. Jupiter Farms neighbors Terry Fennell and Brad McLaren were faced with an emergency situation when they were alerted to an ATV accident. A 14-year-old boy had rolled the heavy all-terrain vehicle on top of himself. Arriving on the scene, the 2 men tried lifting the ATV with a jack. When that didn't work, they resorted to their pure physical strength to flip the vehicle by hand. The boy was not breathing and had no pulse. McLaren started rescue breathing and Fennell started compressions until Palm Beach County Fire Rescue arrived on the scene, no doubt playing a major role in his survival. For quickly acting together and utilizing life-saving skills at a critical moment, Terry Fennell and Brad McLaren are recognized with the Good Samaritan Award. Congratulations. We continue with the Unit Commendation. The Unit Commendation is awarded for exceptional meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service. It recognizes those units that set forth upon difficult and challenging tasks to positively impact the agency, sometimes under extraordinary circumstances. Let's meet our recipients in this category. District 5 Community Policing Unit. The members of the District 5 Community Policing Unit are dedicated to building a strong sense of community in the Glades area. Working throughout Belglade, South Bay, and Pahokee, the unit reaches out to local residents and groups to form strong partnerships. This year, they've been involved in nearly 50 local events and activities, from parades and health fairs to career days and youth summits. Their work has helped forge lasting relationships with the community they serve. So when a local family lost their home to a fire, the Community Policing Unit stepped in to help. Working with Habitat for Humanity and the Red Cross, they helped provide the family with clothing and furniture to get their lives back on track. For their dedication to the citizens of the Glades area, the District 5 Community Policing Unit is awarded a unit commendation. Congratulations. Firearms Investigative Unit. For every firearm submitted into evidence, the Firearms Investigative Unit validates its authenticity, traces it to its original purchaser, and provides investigative leads and strategies to PBSO deputies and prosecutors. This year alone, the unit has validated and traced over 1,000 firearms. Their keen eyes are now trained on social media sites and cell phones as well. When a felon who threatened to kill police posted photos of himself holding firearms, the Broward Sheriff's Office asked the FIU for help. The unit verified the firearms were authentic, and the suspect was arrested and his weapon seized. The FIU also conducts firearms protocol training, which the director of the ATF recognized as a model for law enforcement agencies, 145 of which viewed the training online. The work of the Firearms Investigative Unit is invaluable not just to PBSO, but to the criminal justice system as a whole, and is therefore awarded a unit commendation. Congratulations. Aviation Unit. Serving as our eyes in the sky, the Aviation Unit has responded to over 6,000 calls for service and logged nearly 2,500 hours in the air this year. During a coastline patrol, the flight crew observed a suspicious vessel with no lights or fishing gear moving towards the Jupiter Inlet. The crew summoned both the PBSO Marine Unit and Coast Guard, giving constant updates on the vessel's location. As law enforcement approached the vessel, it fled towards the Bahamas. Once the vessel was stopped, nearly 200 pounds of marijuana and cocaine were recovered and the suspects detained. The unit also played a key role in locating a missing 78-year-old man with Alzheimer's disease. Using infrared cameras, the flight crew discovered the man crawling out of a lake in distress. The crew alerted ground units and he was quickly brought to safety. The Aviation Unit, as a valuable asset to both PBSO and Palm Beach County, receives a unit commendation for their impressive accomplishments. Congratulations. Maine Detention Sanitation Team. As part of a continuing effort to meet the highest industry standards for correctional facilities, the sanitation team was formed to improve the cleanliness of the Maine Detention Center and maintain more sanitary conditions. The goal was to improve both the health and the morale of those working in the Maine Detention Center. The facility was visited by 2 accreditation bodies in a short period of time, and staff worked diligently to enhance the cleanliness and appearance of the Maine Detention Center. Inspectors from both groups noted the impressive cleanliness of the facility in their assessments. The sanitation team is awarded a unit commendation for their efforts to maintain a healthier, more presentable environment in the Maine Detention Center. Congratulations. Records Production Division. The Records Production Division was created to meet Sheriff Bradshaw's goal of streamlining records requests. In just a few short months, the unit has handled over 2,000 requests for records. In one recent case, the unit had just 3 days to comply with a massive records request. In 168 man-hours, the team processed over 47,000 pieces of paper, made over 1,300 CD or DVD recordings, and filled 14 legal-sized banker boxes with documents to fulfill the request. They even managed to do this without delaying any other records requests. The members of Records Production Division are passionately dedicated to their work. Even as they have made the records request process more efficient, they have maintained their attention to detail and confidentiality and maintained the integrity of our records. In recognition of their superior performance and dedication to both PBSO and the community we serve, the Records Production Division is awarded a unit commendation. Congratulations. District 15 Detectives Bureau. Residential burglaries can leave families feeling victimized and unsafe. When residents of the acreage were hit with a string of burglaries, the District 15 Detectives Bureau worked tirelessly to resolve the problem. In 2014, they reduced residential burglaries by an impressive 28%, and this year burglaries have dropped an additional 18% as the detectives continue to arrest those responsible for these crimes. So far, over 50 suspects have been arrested and more than $123,000 in stolen property recovered. This talented, motivated group is producing outstanding results in the Loxahatchee area. Their passionate focus in responding to the concerns of their community has earned the District 15 Detectives Bureau a unit commendation. Congratulations. We now turn our attention to Sheriff's Special Commendation. The Sheriff's Special Commendation Medal is awarded to Sheriff's Office employees who distinguish themselves by meritorious direct participation in a special task force or unified response to a designated operation, usually significant in nature. Let's meet our recipients in this category. Operation Value Pawn. In March of 2015, PBSO's robbery unit noticed a pattern in armed smash and grab robberies at various value pawn shops throughout Palm Beach County. The tactical unit assisted using social media to ultimately identify a vehicle utilized in several of the robberies. Background checks identified 2 male suspects, and surveillance showed them casing numerous pawn shops. By August, agents determined they were preparing to target 2 value pawn locations. PBSO SWAT, aviation, and canine units and the South Metro Task Force were on hand when the suspects carried out a robbery at the Value Pawn on Okeechobee Boulevard, arresting the pair without the use of force. Additional efforts led to charges on 7 armed robberies and 2 burglaries and netted $60,000 worth of stolen merchandise. For showing persistence and ingenuity in ending a violent crime spree, the participants in Operation Value Pawn are awarded the Sheriff's Special Commendation. Congratulations. Operation Checkmate. For years, conventional enforcement was not putting a dent into the operations of a violent, drug-dealing Lake Worth street gang known as the Latin Kings. In 2013, PBSO and the FBI formed a joint effort called Operation Checkmate, targeting the 48 most violent members who had a combined total of 1,149 past arrests. After almost 2 years of extensive surveillance, an arrest sweep was conducted in February of this year, involving 150 PBSO personnel, 100 FBI agents, and 15 from the ATF. It seized 2 kilograms of cocaine, 5 pounds of marijuana, 20 firearms, and $25,000 in cash. By July, 47 of the 48 suspects had been arrested, with most serving sentences in federal prison. As a result of its success, the U.S. Attorney's Office now touts Operation Checkmate as the model for all federal and local agencies to follow. For their unwavering professionalism, its members receive the Sheriff's Special Commendation. Congratulations. Legion of Merit. The Legion of Merit is awarded to a Sheriff's Office employee who distinguished himself or herself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service or achievement. Areas of consideration when justifying this award include improved agency, organizational efficiency, increased effectiveness, substantial cost savings, improved personal safety, and enhanced public image. Let's meet our recipients in this category. Stephen Scultetti. 7 years ago, Terminal Agency Coordinator Stephen Scultetti created Alcoholics Anonymous 911, a groundbreaking and unprecedented group in the law enforcement community. The group, open to all law enforcement and fire rescue personnel, has helped numerous Sheriff's Office employees deal with an insidious disease affecting an estimated 1 in 20 people nationwide. Scultetti has donated over 350 hours of his personal time hosting a weekly meeting which has positively impacted an untold number of agency employees and their families. His selfless actions, including personal and confidential sponsoring of some 150 people, have saved many careers and, more importantly, lives. For leaving a positive and indelible legacy at the Sheriff's Office, Stephen Scultetti is awarded the Legion of Merit. Congratulations. Sergeant Warren Reasoner. As supervisor of the Behavioral Sciences Unit, Sergeant Warren Skip Reasoner has spent countless hours, many of them off-duty, to assist deputies and their family members who are experiencing job-related or personal distress. Sergeant Reasoner has developed a reputation as the go-to guy when someone is in need of help. Law enforcement officers are often reluctant to seek counseling out of fear of professional consequences or lack of trust and understanding from outside psychological professionals. Sergeant Reasoner has never refused to respond to a PBSO employee in need, regardless of the time of day or night. He offers counseling from a perspective law enforcement officers can relate to, and because of that, there is no doubt Sergeant Reasoner's actions have saved lives. For his outstanding service and dedication to his fellow officers, employees, and their families, Sergeant Warren Skip Reasoner is awarded the Legion of Merit. Congratulations. Our next award involves 2 separate medals for the same event. Combat Action Medal. The Combat Action Medal is awarded to a deputy sheriff who participated in a hostile action or action under fire, or encountered threat of harm, all while demonstrating exemplary performance and a brave spirit under adverse conditions. The Combat Action Medal goes to Deputy Thomas Hannigan. Meritorious Combat Medal. The Meritorious Combat Medal is awarded by the sheriff to a deputy sheriff who, while performing official criminal justice duties or serving in the line of duty, distinguished himself or herself by heroism while engaged in a hostile action or against a dangerous or armed assailant. The Meritorious Combat Medal goes to Deputy Michael Szynski. On June 17, 2012, several deputies responded to the 1st and 10 bar in western Boynton Beach due to a large fight in progress in the parking lot. Deputy Thomas Hannigan was first on the scene, and Deputy Michael Szynski arrived moments later to see Deputy Hannigan struggling with a male subject. Due to the nature of the struggle, Deputy Szynski could not clearly strike the subject with his baton. Szynski saw the man attempt to grab Deputy Hannigan's firearm and moments later spotted a pistol tucked in the subject's rear waistband. Deputy Szynski believed the subject was moving to reach for the pistol in order to shoot Deputy Hannigan. Fearing for his fellow deputy's life and taking care not to injure Hannigan, Deputy Szynski placed his pistol near the lower portion of the suspect's back and fired 2 shots, ending the struggle and fatally wounding the suspect. Hannigan immediately administered first aid to the suspect when the struggle ended. For their immediate action in a life-threatening situation, Deputy Michael Szynski is awarded the Meritorious Combat Medal, and Deputy Thomas Hannigan receives the Combat Action Medal. Congratulations to you both. Life-Saving Medal. Our next award is the Life-Saving Medal. It is awarded to a Sheriff's Office employee, sworn or non-sworn, who distinguished himself or herself by extraordinary achievement of life-saving actions or rescuing any other person from imminent death or grave bodily injury. Determination of this distinction requires careful consideration of exactly what is expected from an employee acting in his or her position, taking into account job responsibilities, training, and experience. Let's meet our recipients in this category. Deputy William Caswell. William Caswell and several other deputies heard a loud noise coming from a cell at the West Detention Center and discovered an inmate who was repeatedly vowing to harm himself. The deputies quickly removed the inmate from the cell and placed him in a multi-purpose room while awaiting their supervisor. Once secured in the room, the inmate stacked chairs on top of a small table and hoisted himself up to the guard railing of the second floor and began claiming he wanted to die. A zone sergeant trained in crisis intervention kept the inmate engaged and tried to calm him down. Seizing an opportunity, Deputy Caswell climbed up to the second floor without the inmate noticing his movements. Once he was within reach, Caswell took hold of the inmate before the inmate could let go of the railing and lowered him down to safety while securing himself so neither of them would fall. Deputy Caswell's quick and decisive actions helped save an inmate from injury or death and helped resolve a crisis situation. In recognition of his actions, he is awarded a life-saving medal. Congratulations. Deputy Scott Levy. Responding to a report of a vehicle fire in Lake Park, Deputy Scott Levy arrived to find a Chevrolet Impala with visible flames and thick smoke coming from under the vehicle. As Levy ran towards the car, a woman informed him that there was an unconscious man still in the vehicle. Deputy Levy made several attempts to wake the man as flames began to engulf the car. Once the man awoke, he was dazed and unable to get himself out of the vehicle. Acting quickly, Deputy Levy used his knife to cut the man's seatbelt and pull him from the burning car. When the man was unable to walk or stand, Deputy Levy assisted him to a safe distance before running back to the burning vehicle to ensure there was no more passengers inside. Deputy Levy placed himself in great danger in order to rescue the unconscious man who would have faced certain death as the vehicle filled with flames. For his courageous and selfless actions, he is awarded a life-saving medal. Congratulations. Deputies Devin Zukowski and Christopher Johnson. While on ATV patrol along Lake Worth Beach on Memorial Day weekend, Deputies Devin Zukowski and Christopher Johnson spotted a person struggling in the water. Fearing the man may be caught in a rip current, Zukowski yelled to him to swim parallel to the shore. The man soon appeared to be exhausted and began yelling for help as he struggled to keep his head above water. The two deputies quickly removed their vests and gun belts, dove into the water, and swam to the man, who grabbed onto Deputy Johnson in a panic. Zukowski and Johnson guided the man until he was safely out of the rip current. Once on shore, the man told them he had cramped up while in the rip current and couldn't swim. After taking some time to work out his leg cramps, the man soon rejoined his family on the beach. For their willingness to risk their own lives to save another, Deputies Devin Zukowski and Christopher Johnson are awarded a life-saving medal. Congratulations. Combat Cross. The Combat Cross is awarded to a deputy sheriff who, while performing official criminal justice duties or serving in the line of duty, distinguished himself or herself by extraordinary heroism and is cited for gallantry in action or courage while engaged in a hostile action or against a dangerous or armed assailant. Let's meet our recipients in this category. Daniel Mercier. On March 23rd of 2013, DUI investigator Daniel Mercier responded to a 911 call at a residence in Belle Glade. A male suspect was in the process of assaulting his wife and threatening to kill both her and her young daughter. When Mercier arrived on the scene, he heard screaming and banging and soon after confronted the hulking, 6-foot-tall, 350-pound suspect carrying a cane knife. The suspect had the knife raised in the air and began walking towards investigator Mercier. Despite repeatedly ordering the suspect to drop the weapon, the man continued advancing towards Mercier, who fired his weapon once, but it appeared to have no effect on the suspect. Mercier continued to order the man to drop the knife, but having no choice, fired his weapon until the suspect no longer posed a threat. For his heroism in a life-threatening situation, DUI investigator Daniel Mercier is awarded the Combat Cross. Congratulations. The Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to a Sheriff's Office employee who distinguished himself or herself by superior service and selected as Law Enforcement Deputy of the Year, Investigator Detective of the Year, Corrections Deputy of the Year, Civilian Employee of the Year, Volunteer of the Year. We begin with Volunteer of the Year, Captain Larry Clements. Volunteer Captain Larry Clements utilized his time and considerable computer skills to create two programs that were instrumental in the modernization of PBSO volunteer operations. He developed StarCop, an online system that streamlined volunteer training and tracking to eliminate the cumbersome series of spreadsheets that had been used in the past. A volunteer since 2013, Clemens was also instrumental in the development of Dashboard, a program that allows COP volunteers to check availability of patrol cars and reserve them online. Dashboard was so successful that it will soon be expanded to allow additional units to reserve patrol cars throughout the volunteer program. In total, Clemens volunteered over 1,000 hours of his time in the creation of these programs. It should be noted that his brother, Volunteer Commander Robert Clemens, recruited Larry to assist in these endeavors. Robert was the Volunteer of the Year for 2014, and it stays in the family with Larry. By the way, Larry has also been promoted to Volunteer Major. Congratulations. Civilian Employee of the Year, Paul Moody. Forensic artist Paul Moody uses his exceptional skills to turn vague descriptions into identifiable, lifelike images. His sketches were critical evidence in a Vero Beach murder conviction and in the trial of a serial rapist. In all, he produced 120 composite sketches, leading to 70 identifications or arrests. Moody's work has also helped bring closure to local families. A composite drawing he made led to the discovery of the victim's identity in a 33-year-old murder case, as well as the return of the victim's remains to her family. In another case, Moody used descriptions from a convicted serial killer to create an image of one of the killer's unidentified victims. That image generated nearly 40 investigative leads. Without Paul Moody's invaluable assistance, numerous cases may have gone unsolved. He is currently working on a project that will bring some of the most advanced craniofacial reconstruction technology to PBSO. For these exceptional accomplishments, Paul Moody is the Civilian Employee of the Year. Congratulations. Corrections Deputy of the Year, Michael McInnes. When Deputy Michael McInnes presented an inmate with a court order informing him he would no longer have writing privileges, the inmate made several requests to return to his cell to retrieve some personal notes. Instead, Deputy McInnes carried out the court order and removed those personal notes from the cell. The notes in this case were detailed drawings and diagrams of the facility, including arrows pointing towards the visitor's entrance and the parking lot. The notes also included the words Signal 6, the code for an escaped inmate, and letters to an unidentified person telling him or her not to talk with police. The inmate was promptly transferred to another cell, and the items found in his cell were taken into evidence. In recognition of his excellent work in preventing this potential escape attempt, Deputy Michael McInnes is the Corrections Deputy of the Year. Congratulations. Law Enforcement Officer of the Year, Deputy Daniel Delia. District 8 Deputy Daniel Delia responded to a call from a frantic mother about her missing 17-year-old daughter. DS Delia quickly created a countywide bolo for the missing girl. After being informed the girl had been contacting unknown men on the internet and may have been attempting to leave the state, Delia feared that she had been lured into a human trafficking scheme. He immediately began canvassing local airports and bus stations and discovered the girl had purchased a bus ticket to Virginia earlier that day. The bus was scheduled to make a stop in Jacksonville prior to leaving the state. Delia contacted Jacksonville police and coordinated the response to the bus depot, where the girl was located and detained until her family could recover her. His work on this case was recognized by Governor Rick Scott, who named Delia the 2015 Florida Missing Children's Day Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. For his dedicated response to recovering an endangered missing child and his consistently excellent work, Daniel Delia receives the Law Enforcement Deputy of the Year Award. Congratulations. Detective of the Year, John Cogburn. When a high-profile double murder took place in an affluent Boynton Beach neighborhood, Detective John Cogburn was summoned to investigate. He worked quickly to develop persons of interest and secured multiple search warrants for social media and cell phones, ultimately leading him to a 14-year-old boy bragging to a friend about the killings via text message. Cogburn obtained a full confession from the suspect, who was charged with first-degree murder. Detective Cogburn also solved the 2013 cold case in which human remains were found in a Lantana backyard. The case was ruled a homicide, and Cogburn discovered the victim's son was still withdrawing money from the victim's Social Security account. The son ultimately confessed he had witnessed his mother kill his father to inherit the father's money. Detective Cogburn also coordinates the annual PBSO Homicide Conference, attended by over 200 students from across the country. For his exemplary performance, Detective John Cogburn is awarded Detective of the Year. Congratulations.
Please rise for the benediction by Sandy Huntsman.
Let us bow our heads once again. God, we have been so grateful for these who have served with the highest distinction and valor. And God, we thank you for this occasion and the resources to enjoy such blessings as we have enjoyed. Thank you for your blessings on this nation and the people of Palm Beach County. Give them wisdom, protect them and their families as they serve. For this we pray. Amen.
That concludes our ceremony. Congratulations once again to all our recipients for the 2015 PBSO Annual Awards.